Welcome back to another episode of Sarkis Unlocked. Today we are joined by the man tasked with steering one of the most iconic brands in real estate into a new era. Michael Liebowitz didn't just climb the corporate ladder. He built his own and is now the president and CEO of Douglas Elliman. And let's kick it off. Michael, welcome to Sarkis Unlocked. It's an honor to have you. A lot of people know you as the CEO who stepped in to Douglas Elliman during a pivotal transition. There's a lot that a lot of people may not know about you, and you're not just a CEO, you're an entrepreneur who understands the grind of building something special from nothing. And the point of today is just to really get to know you, learn more about who you are, not only as a business person, but as a father, as a friend, and just the come up, man, because you made it. And anyone watching this?
I don't feel like it, but I appreciate that you think it.
Anyone watching this, hopefully they can take something away from it, take some wins, hear about some of the losses, because as we know, mistakes are really lessons in disguise. Yeah. I always say that, and I'm sure you've had a lot of lessons in disguise over your years.
Yeah.
But let's start really, with the foundation, because that's really, where it all starts. Before you were at Douglas Elliman, before you even met Howard and some of the other people that were within the Elliman organization, where did Michael start? Where are you from?
Yeah, listen, thanks for having me. Talking with you is fun for me because you are, the consummate entrepreneur, business guy, killer, hits it hard every single day. You and I relate to each other in terms of our work ethic and all that. So being asked questions from you is even, more meaningful for me because, you get it.
Appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Listen, I started out, I grew up in Staten Island, which was a rough and tumble, beginning, one of the boroughs in New York City. My dad, started out as a cab driver in New York City and did a bunch of other things.
My dad was a cab driver in
Boston. It's funny, you said that in there the other day. I'm sorry, the other half hour ago when we walked in, you said that about the house.
Yes.
And my dad was in New York City cab driver for 25 years.
Medallions were worth a lot more back then.
Medallion. I actually sat in the front seat on Saturdays and sometimes went to work with him.
That's crazy.
And sat there and the whole thing, yeah. Matter of fact, wait, my mom met my dad. He picked her up and he would put medical books on the front of the seat so people would think he was in medical school to get bigger tips. And he picks my mom up.
I love that.
And she figures this guy's gonna be a doctor. He says to her, the fare is free if you give me your phone number. And that's how my parents met. He picked her up in his cab.
That is awesome.
And the funny thing is, my mom goes home, tells her mother, I met this guy, he's in medical school, whatever. They find out this guy's not in medical school.
So for all the Uber drivers watching this, anyone who's doing Uber on the side, invest in some medical books. You never know.
Yeah.
You could meet the love of your life or get some tips.
Yeah. Well, she stuck with him, fortunately, and my grandparents actually also my dad still, thank God, is alive. He's 85, and then he got into some other things after the fact, but he drove for 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I really started, in a way of like work ethic. He would wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, literally, because he had a guy that was around the corner from where we lived. That was a Wall Street guy that used to go into the city. So to get that fare, to maximize driving into the city empty, he would wake up at 3 in the morning to drive this guy in every day. Wow. And then he would just work straight through. So that was the mentality that was my family.
So you saw your dad grinding it out.
Big time. As
a kid, and obviously, similar with me, is you wanted something different.
Listen, I had both my parents, thank God, are alive. I had a great childhood from my parents, very loving parents, but I did not want to live like that.
Yeah.
And I knew that really, really early. My mom was always watching every dime and all that growing up. And I didn't want to do that at all. Like even now when I go to a restaurant or I order food, I'll order 2 or 3 of the same thing because I'm overcompensating. I always order a large soda.
I'm talking to myself.
I'm not joking. I literally, I would order something in a diner with my parents and I used to have to order a small Coke. Now I order the triple extra large, okay? And I've been doing that even, since I'm, and once I was controlling my own money. So a lot comes out of that, as a kid. You never forget.
And then, I know that you started with a chemical company, I believe,
No, I actually started in the insurance business.
in the insurance
Yeah, I
business.
started in the insurance business.
Harbor Group?
Harbor Group was my first company. It actually started out as a brokerage insurance business. And then by accident, I was doing a favor for someone in the CMBS lending world that needed me to diligence insurance on a property that was being financed. And I did it for them for nothing. I was young. I was like 22, 23 years old. And then, long story short, the CMBS market started, which was when they securitized real estate loans. And that person went to work at GMAC, General Motors Acceptance Corporation. And I was a young guy. I went and met with them, and I ended up.
This is in New York.
I lived in New York. GMAC was located in Horsham, Pennsylvania. I get in my car as a 23, 24-year-old kid. I go down to GMAC to pitch the business. I ended up getting the business. It was a long story about how I got it, but I ultimately got it. I ended up getting all of the business. So I created this other business that was an advisory business next to the brokerage business. I was growing both of those businesses at the same time. And then I had met Apollo, the private equity fund, when I'm 28 or so years old.
I've done loans. I've had to help refinance loans with Apollo.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And, then they were big then. I mean, now they're tremendously
huge.
big.
They're out of New York.
They're out of New York.
Yeah.
I met them. They were putting together an insurance roll-up, and they were putting $125 million up to do a roll-up, and they wanted me to take my business and put it into that. It was me and like 5 or 6 other guys. They were actually doing life insurance. I was in property and casualty, but I really hit it off with them, and they were like, listen, we'll put your business in too, if you want to do this.
So you were insuring buildings, homes,
mostly commercial.
Personal?
We had personal stuff that we did just as a service to our commercial clients.
Yes.
But it was mostly a commercial business, 90%.
What's one of the biggest clients you ever landed when you were in the insurance business?
Well,
that you remember today?
Well, I will tell you, there was 2 sides of my business, right? So, one was a brokerage business and one was a consulting business. On the brokerage side, one of the first big clients I got was Western Dental, which was a 900 location dental practice out in California.
Wow.
I also had gotten an account that I got through Howard as a young guy, which was the tobacco company, Liggett and Myers Tobacco, that he was in. That was an account of mine. And then I did the director and office insurance for Western Union that he was involved in. And then obviously in the advisory side, GMAC was my first big client. And then I wanted to start growing that advisory business that I stumbled on that nobody did. I actually had a guy that worked for me, that was a lawyer, that wanted no part of it. And I saw something in it he didn't see. I saw it as an opportunity for me to sit at the table with people much bigger than me. And that's all I cared about. I didn't even care about the money it made. I didn't care about any of it. I just wanted to be at the table with that level of commercial real estate owners, bankers, and all that. And I was willing to sit there for free. Basically, in the beginning, I was charging nothing. I was charging them like $200, but I saw this as a path for me to differentiate myself between everybody else that had a brokerage business, and it happened.
And when you were you were an advisory company. Obviously, it's a separate entity from your brokerage business.
Yeah.
But what were you doing? What were you advising on, and who were you helping?
Yeah. So what we would do is we would get hired by GMAC was a lender.
Yes.
So the lender would basically finance a $100 million real estate loan.
Yep.
We would review the insurance for them because they were giving out $100 million. They wanted to know that the insurance was in place, right? Because so they could get their $100 million back. And all of these loans went into these CMBS pools. So the rating agencies rated them. So we had to basically sign off reps, warranties, and due diligence on them for the lender and ultimately when they went into a CMBS pool. So to me, as a 23-year-old guy, I'm like, I'm going to sit at a table with the biggest real estate owners around, the biggest bankers. Now, I had no money. I started this, I get GMAC as a client. Now I want more of this business, right? And naturally, I want to grow. I had no money. There was a publication called Commercial Mortgage Alert. I literally scrounge up $2,000 to put an ad in. I write the ad myself. Okay, I wrote a bunch of questions of,
And just for everyone watching, ChatGPT was not a thing.
ChatGPT was not there.
He had to write this on his own.
Michael Liebowitz wrote this on his own. And you know what? To this day, I'm a marketing person at heart.
I can see that.
In terms of that. And I wrote the ad myself. I'm not joking. I put the ad in, I wrote it myself, spent the $2,000 because I bought like 3 issues or whatever it was. I got JP Morgan as a client. And I get a call 2 or 3 or 4 months after I put it in, nothing happens. I don't really hear from anything. I get a call from this guy, Rob Wojciechowicz. That was his name. He was the guy at JP Morgan, and he calls me and goes, hey, I saw your ad JP Morgan is going into the CMBS market, and what you put in your ad makes it look like you guys do this. I don't know anybody that does what you do. I go, yeah, absolutely. I got it. And here's the funny part. He then went to Capital One many, many years later. On LinkedIn, about 2 or 3 years ago, I see that he retired. He was put out a thing on LinkedIn, I'm retiring, thank you for whatever. I wrote him a thing, like a little bit of a letter almost, on the LinkedIn comment saying, I don't know if you remember me, but I was the guy, whatever. And he wrote me back, of course I remember you. I remember the whole thing. You know, you were incredible to do business with and all that. And it was just one of those stories. And let me tell you something. I have 10, 15 of those stories of when I was that age. I got, literally, let me tell you who my clients were back then. I had GMAC, which was the first CMBS lender, really, them and Nomura, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse, UBS. I had every major lender. The business ultimately had 90% market share. Very few people did what we did. I sold that business multiple times, but in between that, we created the company that I mentioned with Apollo that got created. It's a company called National Financial Partners that ultimately went public in 2003, that we took public. It was a very successful public offering. So I had that going at the same time. So I always had multiple businesses going on at the same time. The funny thing is, Douglas Elliman is the first time I'm actually only focused on one thing. This is the first time in my whole career that I'm actually only focused on one business.
And that's a great, pivot to that, because you've mentioned all these. I know you've been in risk management, high street valuations.
Yeah, it was a valuation company I created from that business.
A lot of these different business models, brokerages, advisory company, all that. What did those industries teach you about risk that the average real estate agent or executive completely misses?
Well, listen, I think
is that a clear question to you?
No, it's a very clear question.
Because
I have an answer
like
for you.
I feel like the real estate industry is so, like, I don't know, they're like so tight about how they do it, and they think it's the only way to do it, and don't recreate the wheel. And like what you just said is like, you created the advisory company because you're like, no one's doing this.
Yeah.
So like, what do you see here?
Yeah.
In real estate.
Yeah.
We're sitting in a $59 million house
Yeah.
in Palm Beach right now. It's like, you've seen all these agents, everything else. Tell me about how you're going to use, your past to help your present.
Yeah, well, listen, I think of that every single day, okay, being CEO of this company. And my thoughts of where I want this company to go or where I think it should go change constantly, right? Constantly, right? The world we're in changes really fast with respect to technology. I mean, technology has changed since I started. I started in November of 24. We're in, April of 26. Well, AI in the last 15 months has dramatically changed a lot of things, and it's going to keep happening, right? It's leveled the playing field, where if you take our competitors, right? Compass started out as a technology company. Well, you can now create the technology that they spent $1 billion something on and took 4 years in months, okay, for this much of what it was. So everything is constantly changing about it. In terms of the risk side of it, every time I evaluate something, I put in my head, what's the risk? What's my downside? I always want to know what my downside is in something before I look at my upside, right? What can I lose? What's the negative part of it? Where can we go wrong? And then I kind of evaluate, where is the upside, right? Minimize my risk always, but I don't do that in a scared sense, right? I don't worry about anything, okay, in that sense. I am a fearless, I'm a risk taker, okay? I'm a big risk taker. I used to, as a kid, I was a big gambler. I used to bet football. I used to love going to casinos. I was like the biggest. When I had no money was when I was even a bigger risk taker. Okay, now I'm less of one because you want to preserve what you got, right? You
100%.
want to make sure, hey, I worked my butt off for all this. I want to keep it. I want my family to keep it. That's what we're all in it for. But in terms of for a real estate agent, I think that companies or agents, companies. It could be a small brokerage, a big brokerage. You could be small, you could be a team, you could be an individual on your own. Listen, at the end of all of it, we talk about all of these different things, and I used to say this all the time with every agent. Everybody's trying to figure out the big answer, the big whatever. At my desk is where I made the most money, okay? That doesn't mean don't look at big picture and don't be a visionary. I'm a big visionary. I have some ideas for Douglas Elliman that I'm not going to share right now that I think are game changers for this whole industry. And I am working on trying to make those happen right now, right? That doesn't mean I get away from my day job, right? That doesn't mean I'm not sitting there looking at what are our expenses today, how much cash do we have in the bank. We have 577 corporate employees. Should that number be 400? Should it be 480? Should it be 320?
And listen, you make a great point. Like you talk about, like you're not really stressed, you're not really worried. Risks, don't scare. Taking a risk doesn't scare you. And I've seen that. I've seen that in you. I mean, you and I spent a whole day together in Boston when you came in, and like, you're present, Mike. Like you're present. You're asking the right questions. You're running a company here with all these agents. You just came to Palm Beach to jump on a podcast for me. So, I mean, I'm honored and I really appreciate it. But you know how to like focus your time on what needs to be. You have to work in the business. You have to work on the business. You have to keep the people that work with you happy. And I feel like you're doing an unbelievable job at doing that. And then you have all these ideas. You're a visionary.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate everything you just said.
You're a visionary,
and when
so
you
you're
sent
gonna
me
have
a text, right? I think I responded in about 3 seconds. And
that's because it's a crazy thing. This is kind of off topic, but that's what you and I do on a consistent basis. Is the people that are always like, I'm slammed, I'm so busy. I don't think those people have figured it out yet. Like some of my wealthiest clients and most successful clients respond right away.
Always.
And it's because they're like, they have it figured out, kind of. They have the right people texting them and reaching out to them, and then the wrong people reaching out to either their assistant or their email or someone else. And they just know the balance. It's like, what's a priority? What's essential? I'm a priority to you, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, and listen, for me, but also, when I saw your text, number one, you're 100% a major priority. And I like being around people, okay, that have a shared vision, shared goal, and want to get there, right? And I when I say this, I think most people kind of think I'm a nice person. I'm sure there are people that don't, okay, but I think most people do. I don't mean to be rude when I say that honestly, I don't want people in my life that don't share my vision. I said to somebody the other day, we were working on some things we were working on, someone said, but this one's afraid for their job. And I go, if that person's afraid for their job, they're the wrong person for our team. What they should be worried about is making progress and making us a better company. Okay? Don't be afraid for your job, because let me tell you, if you're great at what you do and you work your butt off,
you shouldn't be afraid of your job.
You ain't going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere.
I can't find great people. Okay?
I completely
You have the safest
agree.
job in the world if you work your butt off and you bring ideas to the company. I promise you, not only will you not go anywhere, I'll be calling you, I'll be responding to you right away. That's it. It's like the people that say they're afraid for their job. You can't think that way. It's you're living. You can't do anything from a fear place.
You had $2,000, bro.
Yeah.
You had $2,000. You figured it out. No one gave you anything.
Yeah.
You earned everything you have. You didn't do that because you were afraid. If someone's afraid, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm aligned with you. Like, yes, we want to be good leaders. We want to have good culture. We don't want people to feel like they're working with no, view of the future. But at the end of the day, they build their own future.
Listen, we had something we did, again, I'm going to say this out loud. You can see I say whatever's on my mind. We did a town hall recently, okay, for one of the big offices. I really wasn't for doing the town hall. It was really kind of like I really was not for it. I just wouldn't have done it. I really wasn't like against or whatever, but I didn't really know about it until 5 minutes before they told me I had to go speak, okay? And it was about like a feel-good thing. I never did in any business that I was in a feel-good for my people, okay? Let me tell you how I feel good. I work my butt off. I create success, okay? I give them the feeling of the energy of what I'm doing. I make them feel that they're on a great team, and they know that I'm happy to walk into the fire first. You don't have to go, I'll go first, don't worry. I want you behind me, okay? And I want you to learn, I want you to do that. That's how you motivate people. You motivate people by creating a winning team, okay? If I gotta basically sit and try and make somebody feel good about their own life and whatever, They're not the team member for me. I'm sorry. Nothing personal. Okay?
Yeah,
I want nobody ever did that for me. And it's not that nobody did it for me. It's
and guess what?
it's not the mentality.
If you do that, you're not building killers. You're not building warriors.
No, I don't have a team.
You're not building people.
I don't have a team.
You're not building. I agree with you.
Right?
We're in a world now where, honestly, like, unfortunately, the times have changed. Even for me, I'm a little younger than you, but like even when I started in my business professional career, in my 20s, even my late teens, there was none of that. You have to worry about a lot of different things, and it's funny because you guys had someone at Elliman had sent out an email about a specific day where there was a snowstorm coming, and I got an email from a different office saying that, please make your own personal judgment if you should come to the office or if you shouldn't come to the office. Some of my staff had mentioned, like, we should call it. I go, there's no snow outside right now. First off, my daughter gets the snow day 2 days before because it's forecasted now. Right. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, we used to walk.
That's the school and the kids.
We used to walk to school, and like, it's like, bottom line, I'm not saying I used to, like, my parents grew up in a war zone in Beirut, Lebanon, so we have it a lot easier than them. But yes, you want to be comforting. You want to build people up. You want to motivate them, but you cannot baby them. You just can't.
They say, give a man a fish and you'll feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and you give him a lifetime.
But so obviously, when you look at business for the first time, when you look at any business, you're buying it, you're analyzing it, you're looking to collaborate with it. What are the first three indicators that tell you a company is either a gold mine or a sinking ship?
Yeah, well, listen, I bought, in addition to my business that I worked in, right,
Yep.
which was insurance, I've obviously invested in, many things. I've obviously, I buy stocks, I buy all that. I'm a perpetual need action kind of guy. I love when the markets are open. When the markets are closed, I'm not as happy. Even though I'm not watching all day, I need action going on. So I'm an investor and, and in all of that. I think that the interesting part for me about Douglas Elliman, right, was I didn't go into this because I looked at the residential real estate industry or the brokerage business as a great thing to invest in. Now, listen, I bought stock. I bought like 1 million shares, a little more than 1 million shares from Howard. He had some tax loss that he was, I heard he was selling it. And then I ended up buying the stock from him, ultimately. But it really wasn't the underlying business that got me to invest in it. It was the brand. I looked at it and I said, because listen, every business has its challenges, right? There are insurance businesses that I was in and I'm still invested in that I think have a lot of challenges, right? Even though they're great businesses, but they're starting to get challenged. The residential real estate business for the last 5 or 7 years is very challenged. If you look at our competitors, none of them make any money, right? We have obviously challenge of becoming, a profitable business. But what got me to say that's a winnable scenario was the brand. Because if you think about in every business, whether it be shoes, right, whether it be food, right, it's brands that attract value. You see a lot of these, sovereign wealth funds or whatever, right? These Saudis and all of the people from the Middle East, they all want to buy these brands, right? That's what they love. And they're right. They want to have a Man and, Four Seasons and all of these things, these lasting brands. It's no different than a friend of mine's wife said to me, she's a little older than me, but her mom gave her a Louis Vuitton wallet on her wedding day 42 years ago. That same Louis Vuitton wallet is in the store today. What does that tell you about a brand? Right? It made it through 2 or 3 generations, right?
Timeless.
So to me, Douglas Elliman was always the #1 luxury brand in residential real estate. And today we just actually had the high, a couple days ago, we showed again to have the highest sales price of any broker in the US. And now we're an international brand. And when I came in, to me, it made no sense that we had a joint venture with somebody else utilizing their brand and not ours. So the brand is now becoming global. So from my standpoint, the underlying business had a lot of challenges. It still has a lot. It just hasn't gotten any easier.
It's different from the insurance business because, and this is what I say all the time, it's like the insurance industry, January 1st hits.
Boom, you get another dollar.
You get another dollar.
It keeps hitting.
In real estate.
Recurring revenue.
You know, I've started to think for like my own business, is there a coaching program that I can get, you know, monthly? If agents are interested in paying me monthly, is there a software I can create that's really big for teams? I've thought about that. Now, once again, my focus is selling homes, building a team, building people. But yeah, you do look at the insurance industry, and it's
It's unbelievable. As a matter of fact,
it looks great because
I'm working on right now within Douglas Elliman to try and launch an insurance business within Elliman.
Well, I'm interested in that. Can you bring me on?
You would be an idea, as you were just saying that.
Can you bring me in? I want to be in on it.
Wait, what was just going through my mind was, not every, when you build ancillary businesses within these companies, the rate of capture is really not high because most agents are so busy selling a home, they're not entrepreneurial. A lot are, but plenty aren't, right? You're someone that basically, if we said, all right, listen, we're going to launch Elliman Insurance, you should basically be putting a homeowner's quote in front of every single home that you buy because, George, after 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 years, you're going to have a recurring revenue stream.
If it's not a conflict of interest,
no,
and I can do it, and it doesn't, interfere with
their
any
rules, obviously, will follow all the rules.
Yeah, for sure. But
that,
if we followed the rules and I could do that, if someone enjoys working with me and selling their house or buying a home from me, right now, if you look at it, and this is, one of my good friends is in the home insurance business. He does home and auto and everything else, and I've spoke to him about, partnering up because I've also given him
tons of business.
Probably 200 clients.
Right.
He still makes money on them. I don't even make money on these clients anymore. So that's we get to talk offline about that.
Definitely.
I really agree because it's a one-stop shop. If you already have built trust and rapport with these clients, and your rates are competitive,
and you'll be helping them,
and you're helping them, and it's one less conversation for them to have.
A new homeowner likely doesn't have an agent for the house.
No,
or someone moves to a new city or something.
Completely agree. That's a really good idea. Now you're an entrepreneur. Obviously, you spoke about that. Who runs a public company, and you've talked about all these different businesses. Do you still have the founder's itch? Or has your perspective shifted now that you're at the helm of an icon like Douglas Elliman? You kind of just answered it because you're creating within.
I'm going to tell you, it's funny. So obviously we're a public company, like you said.
Yep.
We have a board of directors. Okay, I think I drive my board a little crazy. Okay,
I can see that
because I don't want to. The businesses that I started, that I all mentioned to you, I started with very little money. Okay, and matter of fact, one of our board members said to me when we talked about the insurance thing, he was like, Michael, you've created all these businesses with very little capital. He goes, why don't you do the same thing here? And I said, I agree, but what I'm always arguing with them is about, I still have a mentality, even though I'm at a public company like Douglas Elliman, like I own the company and it's my money. Okay, so I beat up every law firm. We work on the accounting firm. We're beating them. I literally at the end of last year, we had a bunch of legal bills. And the way it works with these lawyers, they want to get the money before 12/31, okay? I waited until the day before New Year's Eve, picked up the phone and called one of the law firms and said, listen, I'll pay it on the day you need it, but I need a 10% discount. And they did it, okay? No one else wanted to do it. I made the phone calls, okay? That's what I do. I'm still like that. I look at every freaking expense, and I'm like, why is this? What is this? What is this? Because at the end of the day, we're in a shrinking margin business right now, okay? I got to get this thing to be a profitable business so I can do more with it.
You're talking about a big bill, though.
400 grand. I'd say 40 grand.
And you did that yourself?
I picked up the phone and called the lawyer myself. And let me tell you something, okay? You think he's going to say no? He'll never get another piece of business out of me again if he doesn't say okay. And I'm getting it, and I'm getting 40 grand off. And now and like I say, now I look at you as a partner of mine. The lawyer that does that. Now you're my guy, right? You took it off, you saved me 40 grand, I'm in this. When I get this thing making a lot of money, you're the lawyer. I'm not going to forget that. I'm a loyal person.
I agree.
And I do it across the board. I whack the hell out of every single vendor. Okay, I drive my finance people crazy because we get a list in an email and it shows me the top bills and I'll question. Okay, I do it all the time. I probably drive them crazy. No one ever did that.
Reminds me of my brother.
At the company.
Listen, if it wasn't for my brother Manny, shout out to Manny. we'd probably have a lot less money in the bank account.
Right.
Manny's the one, you know.
That's what you need.
He even questions an Amazon chart for $5.50 sometimes. You know, Devin's writing, you know, checks to this and that. Sometimes he's like, "What's this for?" It's like, it's a client gift.
I'll give you another one. I hired a chief of staff. Okay, so she just started. So the CFO says to me the other day, "Oh, we're having a problem with her parking spot." I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "They want her to park on the other side or whatever." I go, "Wait a second. Is it the landlord that wants to charge us? Because they charge us like $200 a month for like the executive spaces." He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Well, we pay them. You tell him he better include her spot, okay, for free in it. I'm not paying him $200. Okay, and I know the guy. Matter of fact, the owner of the building is one of our large shareholders, but the guy that runs the building, I know the guy. I go, "You tell him it came from me." They said, "Okay." They did it. We saved $200 on the spot.
Okay,
it all adds up. I'm sorry to tell you.
It
all adds up.
This is perfect, though. This is a great, you know, transition to the fact that someone came to you for that and asked that question. Did they need to come to you for that question? Listen. You're the CEO of the company, Michael. You're the CEO. You've owned a number of companies. You've bought and sold. You've been on the board of directors before you were appointed CEO. You're a busy man. Time is money. I understand you want to pay you want to try to squeeze the 10%, which you did, and you might think no one else can. But the challenge in business is time is money, buying back your time, as we know, building a business. Do you think that maybe that person could have just figured that out on their own versus call you?
Well,
it's a question that you don't think that they could have done that?
I first come in,
Yep.
right? I commented Douglas Elliman. I actually said it. There was a town hall I did, and somebody asked me a question about how does it feel or whatever. I said, you know, in my other businesses, I kind of felt like I did everything myself. Here, I got so many resources. I got so many people to help me. Yeah, because the company's got way too many employees, okay? So now it's the same thing. But to answer your question, yeah, that CFO should have basically said, we're not paying the $200. And in the beginning, I'm going to tell you, for my first 8 or 9 months, I delegated a lot. We actually set up there was an operating committee at the company.
Or at least try. Or just the simple
I do, but listen,
simple question, Michael, is simply say, did you call and did you fight? Did you call
that's
and
why
did
you
you
got
fight?
to get that's why you have to get your own team. As I mentioned to you before, I just hired this new chief of staff, right?
Yep.
That I think a lot of. I think she's going to be unbelievable. And we're going to build that team around her. So I've been in here 15 or 16 months. I have some very great, amazing people in the company that are team members, and I have some that aren't, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's like no different than I said to you before. I'm sorry, the cream rises to the top. The people that share the vision or they're willing to do the things that I do are going to do it, because I'm telling you now, and I said this the other day to somebody, I will not preside over failure. I will not do it. Okay, so everybody better get on board, and everybody better start doing these things, because we're in a very difficult environment in this industry where margins are continuing to get squeezed, our competitors are totally irresponsible, and I'm not going to fail in this. And you got to do things like that. We're in a penny business. It's not fun. Okay, it's no different than my chief of staff hired. I'm sharing my assistant with her.
Let me ask you a question.
For consolidation, benefit, and cost cutting.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Based on what we just spoke about, because this is all coming together. Like, this is great stuff. For those watching, you better be taking some notes here. So you decided to look through those legal fees, and you know that they want to get paid 12/31. You hit the 10%, got it approved. Did anyone else have those bills? Someone else?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Who had the bills?
It must have went through 10 different people.
Okay, so you talk about people earlier in this episode being afraid they're going to lose their job. You think maybe if someone actually opened up, their eyes a little bit, took some extra time in their day to review those bills and take a shot.
I'll give you an example.
And take a shot, you think those people would be on your radar to let go?
Wait,
I'm going to give you an example. What if someone else came to you and said to you, Michael,
I'm gonna tell you
I
right
just
now.
saved us $40,000. I just want to let you know, I called, I spoke to X, Y, and Z law offices, and I saved us 40 grand. You give them a promotion.
I love them. They would be my go-to.
They'd be your go-to.
100%. But wait, I'm going to tell you. So I'm not really shy. I'm not quiet. Okay.
Nope.
I'm in New York City, now like every other week. I'm walking through the office. I pulled an org chart of our back of the house people, and I walk by somebody's office. I go, do you know how many people we have in accounting, compliance, whatever? And I told him the number. He goes, really? Okay. He looked like a deer in headlights. The lady in the office next to it must have heard me. I get a text 2 hours later from her, Michael, I have some ideas how to cut costs. I've been talking about these. No one did them. I picked up the phone, I called her. I said, just want you to know, okay, whatever we do, whatever we talk about, this is good. Don't worry about the fact that the person you work for is maybe going to be upset because you said something.
Exactly.
You're brave.
Exactly.
You are brave. People like you are what's going to make this company successful.
100%.
So we have people within the company, because I'm on this crusade right now, okay, to make sure that I'm not looking to fire people. The company should have the right amount of people for the business that we do so we can make money.
People don't want to be disruptive.
And they're a number two, and there's some great number ones too in the company. Great number one people. We have 2s and 3s and 4s that really want to help, that want to get in there. And one of them literally said, I may be cutting my own throat by saying a lot of the things in terms of automation that we don't have in the back of the house. I go, don't worry, you're not cutting your own throat. Okay,
Seriously.
believe me, you ain't going anywhere.
Yes.
And you have a lot of that, but you got to be brave. You got to be willing to step up. You got to say something. And we have some great people like that.
I completely agree. And, some people are just so used to the old ways. And
it's like the deep state. You remember I used to talk about the deep state? That's what it feels like sometimes. It's like, I'm the CEO and I'm fighting, okay, to do it. And listen, I'm doing it so we can win. I'm not doing it to be a jerk, okay? If the company was making tons of money and the industry had unbelievable margins, I'd be a little easier. But I'm sorry, okay? I want to win. I want everybody to make money. I have shareholders, I have stakeholders, I have employees. I want to protect the jobs.
I agree. And I watched something. I watched a podcast, and it was basically about someone talking about they visited 2 hotels. One of them was like a Ritz-Carlton. One of them was, Four Seasons. And he spoke to a specific individual who was an employee there. And he said, how do you like your position here at so-and-so hotel? He goes, I love it. He was really energetic. He talked about loving the people there. He's like, where else do you work? Because I work at this other hotel. I don't really like it so much. I just go there and I do my job and I just try to not be seen because I don't want to.
Not what life's all about.
I'm always, being yelled at, or all the problems are coming at me with no solutions. So I just try to avoid everybody. Yeah. I think a lot of employees try to avoid people.
Yeah, they're afraid.
Because the people that are around them are not really instilling the right leadership in them. So this one person that came up to you who might have mentioned, I have an idea how I can cut costs, it's not their fucking fault. Whoever's overseeing them might be their fault for not instilling that leadership and allowing them to open up their minds to try to solve problems. We have problems in business every single day. Today, if I was in my office in Boston and I opened up my notebook, I would see issue. Well, what's a priority? But the question is breaking it down, how are we going to solve it? What's the best solution and who's going to solve it? But talking about, Douglas Elliman, you're on the board of directors. You were on the board of directors, and you saw under the hood. You knew what was going on at Douglas Elliman.
Not as much as I thought.
Not as much as you thought. Clearly,
being a board member. And I had Howard, right, who I had a very close relationship. I still have a very close relationship with. I speak to him, a lot. He's got a lot of knowledge, and he's been around a long time, and he always wants to help. He always wants to help. And so I would say to him what I thought. Not everybody on the board kind of, knew him as well as I did. So I would always say what I thought. But the one thing that I did realize as a board member and the CEO is you really don't know what's going on when you sit on the board. You don't know the day-to-day aspect of, of the agents and the direction of the business. It's a very 10,000-foot academic
because you have 1,000 personalities, and they're doing it their way 90% of the time, which is there's a happy medium between that. Like, what's the Elliman way? What's their way? But like, why was the right time in 2024, the right time for you to step into the CEO role? What made you do it?
Listen, I think that
Was it a passion? You mentioned a passion for the brand.
I had sold my businesses,
Yep.
right, which I did, kind of multiple times. I kind of was officially really sold them. Like I had a family office, I still do, family office that, I would make investments in. I own a hotel in Miami that I was, somewhat involved in, it's a mile away from my house. So that was something for me to do. I had this ink business that, I became the largest shareholder of to really find another transaction. I think that, when Howard basically decided, it was time to move on, it was really more along the lines of, I had a good relationship with him. I knew a lot of the players at the company. But again, I really believe that the brand was a brand that was somewhat underutilized. Not that the former team didn't do a good job. I think listen, 2021, Douglas Elliman made a lot of money, made $115 million. It was a great year. The industry obviously started changing. And listen, they were getting older. Howard was older. Some of the other guys on the board were older. And it's like everything, sometimes you just need to shake it up, right? It's like in basketball. We love basketball.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to call a timeout to change the dynamic of what's going on the court, right?
Your Knicks and my Celtics, the last two games, needed to call a couple too many timeouts.
Yeah.
I hope to see you guys next round, though.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
It'll be fun.
Honestly, I lived in New York for a long time, so I was a big Knicks fan. Then I moved to Miami, and I slowly became a Heat fan. I guess I'm back to the Knicks because my kids are big Knicks fans. But
you would look like you're dressed up for a Heat game right now.
Yeah, I'm in Miami.
That's what people wear to Miami Heat games.
They get
it's all about the swag.
Yeah.
They show up in the second quarter.
But I love there's no place like going to Madison Square Garden.
MSG?
It's the world's most famous arena.
Yep. Showtime. Lights are on.
But I'm really looking forward to it more along the lines. I want to have fun in another series. I want to be able to go to more games. You
got a seat with me in Boston. You just got to wear neutral colors, please.
I'll be there. I will wear neutral.
So let's get into DE because that's what really brought us together. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Douglas Elliman. I've been with them for about 8-9 years now. My decision to go to Douglas Elliman was, if you ask me for one reason, it's the people. And it was never the systems. It was never really even the leadership. It was just 2 or 3 people.
Right. It's always like that.
It was 2 or 3 people that really, one of them was, one of my dear friends. And then it was Howard, obviously a huge role in me coming to Elliman and actually growing. I remember the conversations I had with Howard, and that was for me literally my first time ever going to an Elliman event, being in Aspen, and seeing Howard walking, at an event. And, I did my research. You said this earlier. You said you're getting dressed up because you know who you're coming to meet. I always want to know who the big guy in the room is and what do I need to know about him, because knowledge is power, right?
Right.
I knew Howard didn't drink, so I didn't drink.
Of course.
I had a water in my hand. You know how these Elliman events get, people getting after it. For me, I have an ice water in my hand, and I saw Howard, and I shot my shot. I went right up to him. I happened to be the only person from Douglas Elliman at that event, from Boston at that event. They just had acquired a small boutique brokerage that I was with, and I had made money. So this was an event that was expensive. To go to Aspen, it cost me $8-9 grand.
Right. Yeah.
But I hadn't even sold $20 million in real estate at this time. I ran the biggest nightclub promotions company in Boston. I had made money, I had bought properties, and this was my next transition in life. You went from insurance to real estate, and I went from houses to, I went from parties to houses. And I saw Howard, and I was like, I got to meet this guy. So I went up to him, and I said, hey, Howard, George Sarkis from Boston. Just wanted to introduce myself. And I wonder if you got about 2 minutes. And he said, you're from Boston? He goes, Sarkis, you Greek? And he starts talking to me about
he thinks he's Greek.
How he's a Greek Jew, and he's talking about it, and we're going back and forth. And he goes, kid, you know what? I don't really feel like being here anymore. Come for a walk with me. I walked him to his room. We chatted. I never even asked him for anything I wanted. I was just like, honestly, I go, thank you so much. I had a question for you. He goes, what is it? I go, it's really not relevant. You just answered so many more for me. And he said, take my number down. He goes, come and visit me. He goes, you're going to be special, kid. I don't even know you, but you're going to be special. And even if I wasn't, if I was an average guy without my talents and vision that I had, he could have boosted someone's confidence by having that conversation. And he's the reason why I came to this company. And the new people that have came through the door being you called me the second you took over, Michael. And you said, I was told I got to talk to you. And we had a conversation.
But I thought you were this older guy. I didn't know. Like I swear, when I called you, for some reason, maybe the George Sarkis, I don't know what it was.
Sarkis,
I thought you were like some 60-year-old guy from Boston, like what you think of a Boston guy, like a whitey bulger.
Yeah, old school.
Kind of like
Boston's an old school. Yeah,
Boston guy.
A lot of old money.
I didn't really kind of get it, and the team, I was meeting so many different people. They didn't give me the full thing on it, and then I remember asking Howard about it. I spoke to him like maybe at the end of that week. And I said, he goes, oh, yeah. He goes, he's your guy. You'll see. And that was it.
And we started talking, and listen, you are disruptive. And I love people who want to think outside the box. I talk about it all the time. You can't think like everybody else is thinking.
No.
And you don't have to give, the secret sauce of what your plans are. But talk about the future in some sense, really for all the Elliman agents who follow us and are going to be tuning into this. You've launched in Canada, Montreal, which is Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver.
Just so you know, right? I don't mean to interrupt you, but because you're probably going to get to a couple more like France and all that. The only reason we are doing these Canada, France, all this stuff, Canada, most important because they're the number one buyers of real estate. From anywhere.
Really?
They come from, Canadians buy more U.S. real estate, residential, than from any place in the world.
Wow.
Okay, wait. And we weren't there. Okay, whatever. We move forward, move to the future. But just so you know, the reason we are doing this international thing is, number one, I want our brand worldwide. Okay, I want to create more value out of this brand. I want it to be worth more. But the reason we're doing everything is about lead generation to our existing agents. So the only reason we did that Canada deal is now there will be an agent that's in Toronto or Vancouver or in Montreal that may be buying a new development in Florida or a home on the water in Palm Beach where we're sitting here. Or maybe they got a son that's going to Boston University and they want to buy him an apartment. Okay, whatever it may be.
Could we open up in Nova Scotia if I have a good lead?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Have you been in Nova Scotia?
I've never been there. No, I hear it's beautiful.
Okay.
But my point is that every single thing that we're doing, these deals are not, I want every agent to understand the method behind this. Yeah, we want to make money. Of course we want to make money. But the rationale.
But even if we break even and we get a lot more money coming in.
I'm going to tell you right, those are licensing deals.
Yeah.
We get paid a set number up front. Yep. We get paid an annual from them. If they want to use our marketing and all that, we'll get paid and all that kind of stuff. But the idea is for referrals to come in. So we build the biggest agent-to-agent referral network. I never knew when I came in that a huge part of this business was agent-to-agent referral.
Oh, yeah.
And the minute I saw that, I said to myself, what are we doing in lead gen?
We're sitting in a listing right now that's an agent-to-agent referral.
Correct.
That's it.
An
Shout out
agent-to-agent
Chris
referral
Levitt.
brings us more agents, brings us more revenue. We get a VIG on it. So all of that is that. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that makes all the sense in the world.
And every new office we open will be targeted luxury, so it continues to combine.
And speaking about the luxury brand Douglas Elliman is, Aspen, New York, Miami, Palm Beach, Boston, all of these major markets.
More markets.
LA, Laguna, Manhattan Beach.
Now Northern California, the wine country.
The wine country, Napa. I sold a house in Napa with Declan Gomes back in the day. That was an agent as well.
Yeah.
But you see all that and you notice all these people coming in. Now Boston is huge for the Montreal, France, Monaco. Now why is Boston so big? The colleges, the healthcare. You're getting all these international buyers coming in and they have money and they want to buy luxury. If they'll be able to put a name to a name and feel comfortable and have an agent in France or Montreal or Toronto be like, oh, you have an office in Boston? Oh yeah, we do. Are you interested in, yeah, I'm here right now with my son for college. Well, make an intro. That's beyond power. Like that's exactly what needed to be done. And, I'm very happy to see it come alive. Now shifting on the expansion topic, growth at all costs, smart growth using AI, back office efficiency. How are you using technology and AI to make our agents more productive without losing the human touch?
Yeah, so every single piece has to have, that to it. Again, our corporate headcount. Is it that right number? Is it not? We're going to really kind of explore that. We're also about to launch something. You'll see a press release on it probably before this comes out. Something called eStudio, which is basically we're going to bring in-house a lot of the video, a lot of the photography, the editing, and we're going to have Elliman, we're calling it eStudio. And that's going to be a service we're going to provide to our agents, to our developers, that some of our competitors are doing. That we will now be doing in a really kind of splash way of doing that in-house. I think that's going to be pretty innovative. But listen, then there's the other side of that we have to think about is like, what does the future of brokerage look like?
I agree.
Right? Like, where are we going to...
You don't want to be Blockbuster, you want to be Netflix.
Exactly.
You want to be Netflix.
And right now, I will tell you, it's a great analogy, all of these existing companies, our competitors, and us, is Blockbuster right now. I will tell you, I am working right now in real time on something that we are Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and all that. Because if I don't, we're not going to be here. And neither are they. But here's the only difference, okay?
Facts.
We, I think, are in the best position to do that and to become Netflix and Hulu and all that. I'm going to tell you why. The Compass Anywhere merger, okay, Compass should have stayed Compass. They went and they took on this old line business with $3 billion worth of debt, and now they get all the problems that come with it. And it's very difficult to integrate these kind of businesses. Agents are a herd mentality. The minute you start disrupting them, they leave and all of that, and they're sitting with a debt load. We have no debt. Okay, we have cash in the bank and no debt. The other competitors of ours are private equity owned. They put the money in. They're too afraid to disrupt it, so they're going to go back of the house. Then you've got some of these family-owned businesses, right? Their whole net worth is tied to the traditional brokerage model, all of them. Me, I'm just going to tell you straight out, I'm willing to throw the ball downfield, okay? Because the other thing I have from a technology standpoint and looking at the future is I believe I have the best brand. So whatever residential real estate is going to look like, okay, and I promise you, this is what I don't mean to scare everybody. I promise you the next 5 is not going to look like the last 5, okay? It's going to look a lot different. But I have an unbelievable brand that I'm going to attach to whatever the future is of residential real estate. I have an idea in my mind, but I'm not going to say it right now. And for me, it's very hard not to be transparent and say exactly what's on my mind. But I got to keep this poker to myself. I believe Douglas Elliman will be that company that has that, and we're working really hard on it. And what I think is going to happen is the top of the market agents are going to be fine. It's going to be the agents here that are going to go away. That's just big, very, very big picture is how I think it's going to happen, and I really believe it. And let me say this: if I don't think that way, I'm dead in the water. I promise you.
We all are.
Yeah.
If you're dead in the water, I'm dead in the water.
Yeah.
So when you see a team operating, you and I have spoke about this a lot. Teams are a big part of the industry today. It's really the trend where things are going. When you see a team operating at a high level, what do you see as your job? What's your job to ensure that we keep that momentum?
Well, listen, I have thought a lot. I still do. I still don't really have the answer. Okay, so it's why I keep still thinking about it. I really believe the big teams and the company are aligned, right? And I think there actually are redundancies between how I'm running my business and you're running yours, right? You're doing a lot of the same things I'm doing. You launched that private listings app, which I actually have on my phone, just so you know.
Thank you, I
on
love
my
that.
phone.
Sarkis soon.
When I saw it, I downloaded it, I put it on my phone, it's on there. You have a website, we have a website. You spend money on whatever it may be, A, B, C, and D.
You spend money.
We spend money on that. So and we all like each other and we get along, we think the same, right? So at the end of the
100%.
day, we should help each other to both make ourselves more money. So I always am thinking about that, right? But I also think about it in terms of like, you're running the same business as me. What's the frontier for you to stay alive in it? And I really believe, but I don't know the answer yet. I think maybe I'm going to get there at some point. I'm only here like 16 months. I really think there's a way for us to get much closer together, for us to be stronger and make more money. And I don't know the full answer. And the one thing I would say with you, you were talking to me in there. I really liked everything you said. I won't repeat it for everybody that's going to listen here. But if your egos are checked at the door, you can do that. I think a lot of the teams and a lot of things, people get ego, whatever. Me, you could call me I won't curse, the effing toilet washer. I don't care. As long as my company makes the most money, is the most successful, and it's better for everyone, I'm in. And your ego, you seem like an ego. When people meet you, in the beginning, I said this to you, you look at your social media, you look at your whole profile, you think you're like a big ego guy. You're not an ego guy. You're a productivity, get it done, make the most money, succeed, do what's right for your family guy. And I really think, we have other people within this company that think the same way. That really are like, Julia from Eklund Gomes and them, they think that way. We've got some other big teams that I talk to all the time that think that way. And I really think, I haven't come up with it yet. I'm still trying to figure it out.
No,
maybe you'll be the one or one of them will be one. But we got to figure out a way to really figure out how we all make more money together. If our egos are at the door, none of us care. I don't know what it is yet, but we gotta figure that out, because the outside world is tough. Mm-hmm. And we're all together, and we might as well do it, all together. And I think there's got to be a way. We just got to figure out what the most efficient. And maybe it's a different model for all of us. I don't know.
We'll figure it out together.
We'll try.
What's some advice you can give me aside from checking my ego at the door, because it's been checked?
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of advice from you. But what can you give me or anyone else listening? What advice you can give us to grow our team nationally and continue to grow?
Yeah. Well, again, I'm like, my mind is always like racing and going, and I'm always kind of self-evaluating. And, I think there's a lot of things I could say. I could actually throw out 10 different things, but we have a limited amount of time. I think when I think about how I think, and I think why I think I've been successful in the past, and I think why I got a good chance of making this really successful, is that even though I'm in a 35-year career at this point, I'm still really thinking like I'm a new company. And my other business, I sold one of them. It was a 28-year-old company. It felt like it was a young, brand new company. And that's what Douglas Elliman needs to feel like. And we're gonna keep bringing in some people that are gonna make us feel. I just made this hire that I told you about. She really makes me feel that way. Is you gotta think that way, and you gotta be willing. You gotta stick to that everyday day job, because that's what makes your money, but you also gotta be looking. Like when I said to you, this vision that I've got that I don't really wanna kind of talk about, you gotta think that way for your company, because I got off the phone with the leader of a major technology company a few days ago. When I was listening to this guy, I was like, holy shit. Like I couldn't believe where this guy was telling me the future is going, where he thinks it is. And I put it into my own brain, and I'm like, I need to get more people like this in the room with me, so they could take me to the next level.
While still operating your other business.
Doing it. And I think you gotta think in the same way. And again, maybe we do that together, right? Maybe it's the company.
That's the hardest thing. I mean, if my assistant Devin's is watching this, she will know that like the hardest thing for me is like having these ideas of where I'm going to go.
And you got to stay 2 steps ahead.
But then I got to get back, and I got to talk to the sellers, talk to my agents, talk to buyers.
You cannot get away from that.
You need like an 80-20, 70-30 split in your time.
Maybe you do that in the car. Like, listen, it's funny. My assistant said to me before, oh, I'll get you an Uber to take you up there. I go, no, I'll drive. I'll save the company money. They'll charge $2,000 up and back to Palm Beach. I'll drive. I'm happy to drive. I have my phone. I got my privacy. And I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah.
So I got 2 hours. I'm going to go drive back. I got a dinner tonight. Believe me, I promise you, I'm going to be thinking about this interview. I'm going to be thinking about what we talked about in there and all these things. And hopefully, I don't know, maybe I'll come up with something on the way back.
Well, this has been great. Now, you've seen teams succeed and fail across multiple industries.
Yeah.
You've been in my office. Is there something you've seen in our team that you wish you could bottle up and give to every agent and team in the firm?
I wish I could take everything that I saw in your office, okay, and I'm not saying this because I'm sitting with you, believe me, I don't do that.
I appreciate it.
I wish I could literally take what you guys are doing in your office, what you guys want to do with your business, what you're doing with it today, and stick it in Texas and California and Chicago and Scott. Like, I would love to get 10 more Sarkis thinking teams, production teams, and put one in Scottsdale, put one in Chicago, in the major markets. Because it's too much for us to try and run this thing ourselves and have managers and manage those managers and all that. That's why what I said to you in there, I'm saying it on here. It's a better model. It's like, I got to do what I got to do to run the business. Yep. I need our go-to teams in those markets and let them run them and realize where the margins in this business are and accept those. Not live in the past of what the margins were and say, oh, if I make those deals with them, that's what it is. You got to face reality. If you can't face reality, you're just going to sit and tread water. You could be like, you remember the gerbils on the moving thing? That's it. You'll be a gerbil running around in circles.
You know what you just made me think of, and this is how we're going to wrap this up, because my mind's always racing. There's one pair of sneakers that I've always wanted to buy, and it's the Dior Jordan 1 collaboration. You want to buy those sneakers today, they're $10,000, $15,000 for that shoe. That's what I see happening with the Sarkis team and with Douglas Elliman. Making a powerful collaboration that is worth way more money than anything else. And I think that's where this model goes. You put Dior with Jordan, and you got the most expensive resale shoe on the marketplace. Elliman, Sarkis, every other team with Elliman, two powerhouse brands, is way more powerful than one.
100%.
All right, thanks for being here, brother.
Thank you.